heart of rural Texas, where the nights stretch wide and the stars shine bright, an eerie encounter unfolded years ago. I was just a young buck back then, standing side by side with my grandfather, working late to mend the old fences that had seen better days. The air was thick with the warmth of summer, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, we knew we were in for a long night. Our tools clinked against the worn wire as we went about our task, the fireflies dancing around us like distant stars. Grandpa's stories about the land's history kept me entertained, even as fatigue began to creep in. But then, as we stood near the edge of the cornfield, something changed. Whispers, faint at first, like the soft rustle of leaves. I looked at Grandpa, thinking maybe it was just the wind playing tricks. But his face had turned pale, his eyes wide with something between awe and fear. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, as if coming from multiple directions. "You hear that, boy?" Grandpa's voice was low, his grip on the fence post tightening. "Yeah," I replied, my heart thudding against my ribs. "What is it?" "I don't rightly know," he mumbled, his gaze fixed on the cornfield. The whispers seemed to weave through the air, each one distinct, yet all hushed and secretive. They were too far apart, too quick for a single person to be making them. It was as if the very land itself had secrets to share, and it couldn't decide where to begin. Grandpa's eyes scanned the cornstalks, and I followed suit, trying to make sense of the enigmatic chorus. The moonlight played tricks with shadows, and for a moment I could have sworn I saw movement within the rustling leaves, a shape shifting, darting between the rows like a specter. "Stay close now," Grandpa said, his voice a mixture of caution and concern. "We don't know what's out there." We moved closer to each other, our eyes scanning the darkness, every rustle of the leaves sending a shiver down our spines. Grandpa's hand went to his belt, where he carried a pocket knife. He may have been old, but he was tough as nails, and I knew he wouldn't hesitate to defend us if need be. As the whispers continued, the tension in the air grew thicker. It was as if the very land held its breath, waiting for something to happen. The cornfield seemed to pulse with a strange energy, and I felt a tingling sensation along my skin, like a static charge before a storm. And then it happened. A guttural sound, not a whisper this time, but a growl that rumbled through the night. The cornstalks parted, and before us stood a figure. Its form was twisted, its eyes gleaming with an unnatural light that sent shivers down my spine. I could feel Grandpa's grip on the knife tightening. "Back off!" Grandpa's voice was strong, but there was a quiver in it that betrayed his own unease. The figure remained, its eyes locked onto us, its presence sending waves of dread through the air. It wasn't natural. That much was clear. The whispers had grown into something more tangible, something that seemed to defy explanation. Grandpa and I backed away slowly, never taking our eyes off the figure. As we moved, it let out another growl, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very ground beneath our feet. And then in the blink of an eye, it was gone, vanishing into the cornfield like a phantom. We didn't waste any time. We turned and practically ran back to the farmhouse, our hearts racing, our minds trying to make sense of what we had just witnessed. Grandpa never spoke much about that night, but his eyes held a knowing look, as if he had encountered something he couldn't quite explain. Years have passed since that fateful night, and Grandpa's no longer with us. But the memory of those whispers, that eerie encounter, still haunts me. What was it that we saw? What secrets did the land hold? I may never know the answers, but I'll never forget that feeling of being watched by something beyond the realm of the living. So as you pass by cornfields on a warm Texas night, keep an ear out for whispers carried on the wind. You never know what mysteries might be lurking just beyond the rustling leaves. And if you find yourself in the company of a loved one, facing the unknown together, hold on to that bond. For sometimes it's the only thing that can keep the darkness at bay. Years have passed since that fateful day, but the memory remains etched in my mind like a vivid nightmare that refuses to fade. I was just a child back then, barely old enough to comprehend the mysteries and dangers of the world. My brother and I, full of youthful curiosity, found ourselves drawn to the sprawling cornfields that stretched out behind our grandparents' weathered farmhouse. Their stern warnings fell on deaf ears as we slipped away from their watchful eyes, the thrill of adventure guiding us deeper into the heart of the cornfield's embrace. The sun danced through the rustling leaves above, casting fleeting shadows that seemed to play tricks on our imagination. We laughed, we played, we reveled in the sense of freedom that only childhood can provide. Our game of hide and seek was our world, and within that world we were kings. We darted between the towering stalks, our laughter mingling with the gentle whispers of the wind. But as the sun began its descent toward the horizon, a shadow fell over us, a shadow that would forever alter the course of our lives. He emerged from the corn, a man unlike any I had ever seen before. His face was a canvas of deformities, twisted features that contorted his visage into something both frightening and pitiful. His eyes held a hunger, a longing that seemed to pierce through to the very core of our beings. In that moment, the carefree innocence of childhood collided with the stark reality of danger. "Are your parents around, boys?" His voice was a low, gravelly whisper, each word carrying an air of unnaturalness. "No, they're with our grandparents at the house," my younger brother replied, his innocent gaze meeting the man's unsettling stare. A twisted smile spread across the man's face, a grin that held more promise than warmth. "Ah, I see. Well then, come along, I have something to show you." As he reached out and took my brother's small hand in his, a chill raced down my spine. The look in his eyes, the way he held my brother's hand, it was all wrong. Panic surged within me, an instinctual need to protect and to flee. But fear paralyzed my limbs as I watched them disappear into the rows of corn, the man's form melding with the shadows. Hours passed, or maybe it was only moments. Time seemed to lose its grip in the suffocating embrace of the cornfield. My voice was but a whisper as I called out for my brother, each plea met only by the rustling leaves and the mocking silence of the land. It was as if he had vanished, consumed by the very earth itself. When the search parties came, when the sun had long surrendered to the night's dark embrace, they scoured the fields, their calls carrying through the air like desperate prayers. But my brother was nowhere to be found, and the man with the twisted smile had vanished as well. It was as if they had been swallowed by the cornfield, absorbed into its secrets and shadows. Years have passed, and the memory of that day has never left me. I see my brother's face in my dreams, his laughter echoing in the recesses of my mind. The cornfield stands as a silent witness, holding its secrets close, a place of both beauty and terror. I've often wondered what became of my brother, whether he's still trapped within the corn's embrace or if he found his way to some other realm beyond our understanding. As I stand here now, an adult reflecting on that haunting day, I'm reminded that life's tapestry is woven with threads of joy and sorrow, of mystery and loss. The cornfield remains a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the seemingly innocent, a place where childhood dreams and nightmares converge. So, my friends, as you walk past fields of corn that stretch toward the horizon, remember that even the most tranquil landscapes can hold secrets that defy explanation. Hold your loved ones close, for the world is a realm of wonder and danger, and sometimes the line between them is blurred by the shadows that dance upon the land. In the heart of a sleepy Midwest town, nestled between rolling hills and open skies, stood an old farmhouse surrounded by a vast expanse of cornfields. The land had seen generations of farmers tilling the earth, their sweat and toil enriching the soil and weaving the fields with stories of hard work and resilience. But there was one story, a tale whispered in hushed tones among the locals, that lingered in the air like the scent of rain before a storm. It was the legend of the harvest moon, a night when the cornfield's secrets were said to come alive. I was a teenager when I first heard the story from my grandfather, a weathered man who had spent his life working the land. He spoke of a night when the moon hung low and full, its golden glow casting an otherworldly light across the fields. It was said that on that night, the whispers of the past would rise from the earth, carried by the wind that rustled through the cornstalks. As the legend went, those who ventured into the cornfield during the harvest moon would be granted a glimpse into the past, a chance to witness the lives that had once thrived on the land. Some claimed to have heard the laughter of children at play, the calls of farmers tending to their crops, and the echoes of long-forgotten conversations carried on the breeze. It was a tale that captivated my imagination, and as the years went by, the harvest moon became an annual event I eagerly anticipated. And so, one warm autumn night, with the moon hanging low and luminous in the sky, I found myself standing at the edge of the cornfield, my heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The stalks of corn towered around me, their rustling leaves a symphony of whispers that seemed to carry secrets from another time. I took a hesitant step forward, the earth beneath my feet soft and yielding. The air was electric with anticipation, and the wind carried with it a sense of ancient familiarity. As I ventured deeper into the field, the moon's glow bathed everything in an ethereal light, casting long shadows that danced like specters across the ground. The whispers grew louder, the voices indistinct but full of emotion. It was as if the very land was recounting its history, each rustle of a leaf and each murmur of the wind a fragment of a story long forgotten. I walked on, my senses heightened by the surreal experience. Images flickered at the edges of my vision, faces of people I had never known, scenes of a life that had once flourished in this very soil. It was as if the past and present were converging, a fleeting glimpse into the lives that had shaped the land I stood upon. And then I saw her, a woman standing amidst the corn stalks, her dress billowing in the wind, her face turned toward the moon. Her presence was both ethereal and haunting, a figure from another time who seemed to beckon me closer. As I approached, a sense of connection washed over me, as if our souls were bound by the threads of history. She turned to me, her eyes holding a depth of emotion that transcended words. Without speaking, she conveyed a tale of love and loss, of dreams and hardships that had shaped her life. And in that moment, I understood the power of the harvest moon, the way it bridged the gap between the past and the present, offering a brief glimpse into the tapestry of existence. As the night wore on, the whispers gradually faded, the moon sinking lower in the sky. The woman's form began to blur, the lines between her world and mine growing faint. And then, with a final rustle of leaves and a soft sigh carried by the wind, she was gone. I stood alone in the cornfield, the harvest moon's glow waning, its magic dissipating like morning mist. The whispers of the past had returned to the earth, leaving me with a sense of awe and wonder that would forever linger in my heart. And so, my friends, as you pass by fields of corn beneath the golden light of the harvest moon, remember that the land holds stories, stories of triumph and sorrow, of lives lived and forgotten. Listen to the whispers carried by the wind, for they are the echoes of history, the essence of a time long gone but never truly lost. Hello everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, I would appreciate if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would help out a heap. Remember to look out for one another and stay safe. It is a strange world we live in after all.